The Prime Initiative.
Trent James is an ex-law enforcement officer turned Hollywood actor. And in the spirit of the Prime Initiative, we love to hold people accountable on this show, but we also give credit where credit is due. And I do have to give credit to Mr. Trent James simply because he is a giant influence when it came to the Prime Initiative and how we got started. Trent James had a show years ago called Confessions of an Ex-Cop, which he hosted himself. And then he had another show with an awesome partner of his by the name of Awad, which was called Two Fired Cops. I was a guest on his show. And in speaking to him and hearing his story, which is pretty amazing at that, really set the pace and tone for this show. He's the first one, in my opinion, that I've noticed that started the whole talking about particular things in law enforcement, but saying it in a truthful way, unfiltered and raw, right? Just like in the tradition of service of the Prime Initiative. But be that as it may, the reason why that's so important, especially nowadays, is because people are getting fucking sick and tired of being lied to. The hypocrisy in media is everywhere, right? So Trent, when he started his podcast years ago, he spoke the truth. He told you the pros and cons of everything, unfiltered, right? There's a couple other podcast hosts out there that do that, and I love them for it. But then again, there's also these other hosts that have a tendency to just give you the bullshit. You know, they're either in law enforcement at the moment or have particular ties with law enforcement, so they don't give you the actual truth. All they do really is just try to give you BS and feed your ego, especially theirs. They love to talk about themselves. Oh, I used to do this. I scored 4 touchdowns in a single game. Shut the fuck up. You know, you guys need the truth. That's what it boils down to. That's why people are leaning away from legacy media, because they're full of fucking shit. And that's why we do what we do, right? So let's take a look at one of his Trent James awesome multi-episode show here when it comes to Mendocino County and a serial killer. And again, definitely have to give credit to Trent James. You know, he was one of the trailblazers that started the whole movement of speaking up and speaking the truth, unfiltered. All right. Got to give credit where credit is due, correct? So let's take a look at his latest episode pertaining in. And you know what? Before I get started with this, let me know what you guys think of his opening scene. All right, just let me know. All right, let's start from the beginning here. All right, here we go. What do you guys think? You like it? Huh? Pretty good, right?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. It is your host, Trent James, and I hope you are all doing well. This is going to be a long overdue update to this Mendocino County, California serial killer situation. I know I am way behind the curve per usual. Just a brief recap for those of you that did not see my last video that I did on this and you are curious as to what I'm even talking about. A woman by the name of Galina Trefil, I apologize once again if I am butchering the pronunciation on that, made a very public Facebook post to her own account on March 13th, earlier this month, outlining a huge thing about how her father, John Trefil, who is now 86 years old, is an undocumented serial killer and has murdered multiple people starting in the 1970s, I believe.
Damn, that's wild. What would you guys do if you found out that your father was a serial killer? It's pretty interesting, right?
Through the 80s and 90s. And according to her, on her post, she has notified multiple law enforcement entities over the span of the last decade, apparently. She has evidence to this fact. She stated that her father, John, has admitted to this to over a dozen different people. According to her, she has some of his diaries that outline some of these murders in a little, I'm not sure the amount of detail in those diaries, but she says that they are going to be evidentiary relevant in this case. She currently states that he is bedridden. However, right here, he is willing to take law enforcement to some of these dump sites to show them where these bodies are apparently located. Long story short, she's been reporting this for over a decade, and according to her in her post, which is very lengthy, I'm not going to go over the entire thing once again, she has gotten basically zero assistance from anybody. Also, she stated that her father has given very lengthy interviews with the district attorney's office in Mendocino County, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's basically what I covered in the first video. The reason why I wanted to do this update, again, I'm behind the curve on this, is because approximately 5 days after she made this post, the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office made a statement because they were...
All right, so a little bit of context with that. If you guys think certain administrations like that of Luna's administration in Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is corrupt and crooked as fuck, you should take a look at Mendocino County. Holy shit. Talk about corruption there. Again, he has multiple videos on that. I encourage you guys to take a look.
Forced to do so due to everybody in the public blowing them up, saying, hey, what is going on with the serial killer case? Because there's a lot of speculation that I was reading on some of these comments where members of the public there seem to believe that this could possibly be the Zodiac killer.
Oh,
who was...
Look at that. Look at that.
An infamous serial killer, I think in the 60s or 70s. I'm always going to be wrong on my years on that. And he basically terrorized the North Bay area. And some of these killings are going to have taken place during that time frame and in some of these locations where these murders transpired.
All right, so Trent does take a deep dive into this, and it's pretty badass. It's pretty interesting. Again, I'll put the description, or rather the link in the description below, and I encourage you guys to take a look. Awesome, awesome stuff. All right, guys. Until then, keep fighting.
The Prime Initiative.